Hello and welcome to Hexed Countered. My name is Joe. It is Tanktoberfest here on Hexed Countered, and I am about to start the second battle of week 1 of the Poland 1939 campaign in Dan Verssen Games' Tiger Leader. This is the second edition, so it's upgraded to the standards of its follow-up game, Sherman Leader. I did do 2 previous videos on this game as part of my Tanktoberfest. The first was just kind of a setup and introduction to the game, and then the previous one to this one, the second, was actually the first battle of week 1, in which we took on a scouting force for the Polish army and defeated them. And now we're taking on a much stronger force here. So this force is in the friendly transit zone, which you can kind of see right up here in the corner. So if they stay there, I'm going to lose 2 SO points. So I need to kill these guys. Plus, at the end of the week, they'll likely or possibly move up into the friendly staging because your battalions move up at the end of each week, the enemy battalions. Or I shouldn't say they move up. They have the ability to possibly move up depending on the die roll. But in this particular objective card that I'm playing with, you can see here it says add 5 to all battalion operational move rolls during the first week. So when I roll afterwards, they're going to get a bonus here, and you can't see all the columns, but basically there's a retreat if it's under 0, a hold from 1 to 4 for an assault, 1 to 6 for supply, and 1 to 7 for command, and then advance is 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus respectively. And if I'm adding 5 to all those rolls, then the assault ones are guaranteed to move up, and I'll have to roll really low to prevent the supply and command types from moving up. So this is the enemy force we are facing in this one. It's 4A, and the A is for assault. So this is an assault type force, and I wish it would stop trying to change focus on me here. But as you can see, started in friendly transit, and we are not allowed to attack it on turn 1. It's comprised of 2 tanks, 4 rifles, 2 machine guns, 2 trucks, and 2 armored cars. Once we get down to 10 points worth of units, it goes to half strength. At 4, it's considered destroyed, and it's worth 3 victory points. So I rolled. I'm trying to streamline things. So I already rolled for the layout. We have new terrain, still using the basic set because I want to kind of keep things basic here with just base game components for this particular run through. And then in future videos down the road, post Tanktoberfest, I will probably do something on the expansions. I have both terrain expansion packs, which add 34 new tiles here, plus the Blitzkrieg, which is expansion 1 for Tiger Leader, the Panzer expansion, which is number 2 for Tiger Leader, and then also the World War II Tank Leader Commander cards, which are used in both Tiger Leader and also Sherman Leader. So looking at what we've got laid out here on the board, we have our tanks are here and here. Our rifles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I placed them and then they all moved up based on the setup. They all get a free move, as do the friendly units, but I elected to leave my friendly units in the bottom row since they cannot attack and there was some good defensive terrain down there. So there are our rifles, our 2 machine guns, one's here, the other is here, and our 2 trucks, there's one here. 2 armored cars are in this building hex here, this kind of farmhouse looking thing right there. So I already rolled for my enemy tactical movement, which we'll use a D6 again rather. Because on the Poland campaign, if you didn't watch the first video, you wouldn't know this, but you roll a D10, 1 to 8, they will use a D6, 9 or 10, they would use a D10. So they'll be using the D6. And what I messed up in the first video, one of the things I messed up in the first video was I was adding 5 to the roll, but that's only for the operational move, which is this stuff up here, operational movement, not tactical movement. So this time I'm going to play it right. They won't be overly aggressive because what that does is basically cranks up their aggression, and it pretty much resulted in their trucks getting wiped out very quickly. So here we have a wider view. Let me move my scout out of here. And these are guys that were killed off. I have my chit cup and my dice tower here for rolling. So what I also have a scout and a truck that I purchased before the week, and I'm not actually going to use that this time. I might use the scout next one for the next round of this week, assuming I actually use it. So or fight it rather. So the first thing here on combat or pre-combat would be to draw an event card, which I did not do. I did all this other stuff. So let me draw my event card. So this event card says tactical advantage. Place the enemy forces before placing yours. You may place your units in the bottom 2 rows. Okay. So I'm keeping them in the bottom row. So basically that's a non-event for me. It's nice to have it, but I am not going to use that. So now all my commanders are slow. So again, if you didn't watch the first video, the sequence is if you have any fast units, they can go first before the enemy. If you don't, the enemy goes, and then you go with all your slow units. I also have several units that have tactics. So I have a tactic for my Panzer III. I have a tactic for my machine gun team. And I also have a tactic, or actually 2 tactics for my armored car. One for the unit and one for the commander, Wagner. So I'm not even going to use any of that on this turn. So we're going to allow the enemy to go first. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll our d6 to determine. Here it says roll for. I know it's off camera, but it says roll for enemy move. Now we'll do that and do our enemy actions. We rolled a 3. So a 3-4 for tanks, anti-tank, and armored car. They don't have any anti-tank, so it's tank and armored car. A 3 is advanced to cover. So we have tanks and armored cars up here that can move up in this direction to cover here in this hex. So we'll move all those up. So our 2 tanks, our 1 tank, and our armored car. The other tank isn't going to move because he's already in cover, and he has to move towards our forces, and if he did that, he would leave cover. Our rifles, half-tracks, which we don't have, and machine gun teams. So we do have 2 machine gun teams, and we have 4 rifles. With a 3, they go adjacent cover. So with adjacent cover, we look for hexes that are adjacent that have cover. And if it's an improvement over any cover they might already have, they move into it. So we're going to move the rifles here. We'll move the machine gun up. They move to the best cover, and this is heavy cover, so they're going to move there. This machine gun and rifle, they don't have any cover that's better than this cover. So this would be the same as this. So they're going to stay put where they are. Now for trucks, for 3, it's hold. So our trucks are going to hang in the back, which is actually probably the wisest move for them, as they have very low attack capability and a range of only 1, and they're also not exactly thick-skinned. So that will complete. So they can now attack if they're in range of my units. So we do have some tanks here that have a range of 2, but 1, 2 is 3 to my units. All of these units have a range of 1. So they can't attack. The machine guns and the rifle over here, range of 1. Armored cars, range of 1. So none of their units can actually attack me yet. My units cannot attack them either. And what I will do is I am going to move everybody up and just move, no attack, because we can't attack this turn. So I'm going to move my tanks up, or my tank and my Stug. I'll move these tanks up as well. And the tanks have... the Panzer II, which is this guy, has a speed of 1, and so does the Panzer III, which is this guy. So they can only move 1 hex. My armored car, however, can move 2. So we're going to move him here. And then I'm going to move my machine gun crew here. And I think I might leave my infantry and my anti-tank where they are for the time being in this cover down here. So that's going to be the end of turn 1. I'm going to advance my turn here to turn 2. Okay. And so once we go through the turn, we go back to the beginning, and now we go to the fast move They were on 3, so I should have put that there. So we go back to fast move. Now I'm going to use my tactic because I want to attack. So I'm going to use my tactic from my machine gun team, which is actually on the card itself. So you can see here, one tactic, which is in my hand. I'm going to play that tactic. That's been used. I'm going to play that tactic to allow them to attack right now. And they are going to attack, they're going to attack the machine gun here. Now they're in heavy cover. So this is an HE attack. Their HE attack is a 1. So that's deadly. And they didn't move. They moved last turn. So there's nothing there for that. So there's no penalty for movement. We do get a +2 because they're in heavy cover. So basically they'll need to roll a 3 or higher to hit the machine gun team. So we roll our 2 D10s. And we rolled a 1 and an 8. So that's 1 hit. And now we'll roll for the D. Actually, I said that wrong. They needed a 1 to hit because there's no adjustment. The defense, which is a 1 for the machine gun, is a 3 because of the cover. So they need to roll a 3 or less to block that hit. And they rolled a 7. So the machine gun is dead. And our machine gun team knocked off its counterpart. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my armored car. The armored car actually has 2 tactics available. One from the unit and one from the commander. So I'm going to spend the one from the unit and allow it to fire. And it's going to attack our rifle squad. Just one of them. It doesn't matter which. And the same thing. They have defense of 2. So they're going to get a 4 for defense. The armored car, high explosive attack is a 6. So 6 or higher is a hit. We rolled an 8 and a 3. So they have a hit. Now we'll roll the defense for the rifle squad. And they rolled a 2, so they shrug off the hit. So that did not work out the way I was hoping it would. Other tactics I have available, I have one for my Panzer III, which is here. But I think I'm going to hold on to that for the moment. So now we move to the enemy's turn. And we're going to roll our dice to see what their tactical movement is. They rolled a 3 again, so it's the same thing. So we have advance to cover for tanks, anti-tank, and armored car. The armored cars and tanks are already in cover, so they're not going to move. The rifle, half-track, and machine guns, the rifles have adjacent cover. So this cover is not better than this cover, so they're not going to move. This rifle, they're not going to move. And then our trucks are going to hold again. So basically, they're not going to do anything, but they are going to be able to attack now. Okay, now technically, you're supposed to do each enemy unit's move all at once, which I did not do, of course, because nobody moved. So we're just going to go through and attack. So we have our 3 rifle squads. They will all attack. Their attacks for armor piercing are all 9s, which is really high. So automatically, they're going to look for a soft target because their HEs are 6s. So we do have a machine gun team here. So they're all going to attempt to hit this machine gun team whose defense is actually a 3. The armored car's defense is a 1, but their 2 hit number is much higher. So according to the rules, if more than each enemy unit may only attack 1 friendly unit each turn, an enemy unit automatically targets the friendly unit that has the lowest attack roll required to hit. So there you go. They will not attack armored units when there is a HE unit available. So they're all going to attack this machine gun team, and hopefully, you'll get to see what happens if I get hit, because that didn't actually happen in the first battle. So you roll 2 dice just like if it was a friendly attack, and they rolled a 3 and a 4, which are both misses. So that's this guy. So this guy is done. We'll do the second one. They rolled a 2 and a 10. So the 10 is a hit. So now we roll for our defense, and we need to roll a 3 or lower. And we rolled a 6. So we did take a hit. So now we pull a chit out, and it says casualty. Okay. So casualty, it's casualty counter. There we go. So we place the casualty counter on the card, and if they take a second casualty, they're destroyed. Okay, so that's not good. So that's the second rifle team. Now we're going to do the third rifle team here. And they rolled a 6 and a 2, so they got a hit as well. So we'll roll our defense again and roll the 2. So that one didn't actually, that was shrugged off essentially. So that wasn't too bad. So these guys are all done now. Now we do have a tank here that has a range of 2. And he has got a 5 to hit for an armor piercing attack and a 6 for HE. So he's going to look for an armored opponent. And we have 2 to choose from. We have our armored car, which has a defense of 1. And we have our Panzer 3, which has a defense of 2. So he's going to target the armored car. So same thing. We roll 2 dice. And we rolled an 8 and a 1. So he got 1 hit. Now we'll roll for the defense. Armored car defense is 1. So we literally have to roll a 1. And we rolled a 7. So that's a hit. So now we pull another chit out. And this one says Commander Wound on it. So the Commander Wound is you place it on the commander card, no immediate effect. If the commander suffers a second wound, he is KIA. So our armored, Wagner, who's actually probably our best commander, actually is now wounded. So I'm going to put that chit on his card. So this is Wagner's card right now. You can see he's got 2 stress, 1 tactic, and also a wound. Okay. So that's the only other unit that can fire because everyone else is out of range. So now we're going to move to my slow turn. And because I use tactics to activate these 2 units for attack in the first turn, they get to go again here in the slow because they're slow. So we'll start here on the left with our Panzer 2. So he's going to attack the rifle unit. And the Panzer II's HE attack is a 6. So we need a 6 to hit. Their defense is a 2 plus 2 for the cover. So they'll need a 4 on their saving roll. So let's roll out for our Panzer II. So we rolled a 5 and a 3, which are both misses. Now we'll go to our Stug. So the Stug has an HE attack of 5. Okay, so we're going to roll our 2 dice again. Same thing, we're attacking the rifle there. So we got a 7 and a 5, so that's 2 hits. So we'll roll 2 dice to see if this rifle unit defends bolt. They need a 4 or less. And they rolled a 10 and a 2, so 1 hit, and so that kills the rifle unit. It only takes 1 hit to kill these guys. Okay, so now we're going to move to our machine gun team, and they will be taking on one of the rifle squads here as well. And our machine gun team has an HE attack of 1, as we remember from before, so it's likely they're going to hit. And we rolled 2 3s, so that's 2 hits, and now we'll see if they defend those hits. We got a 10 and a 4. So 1 hit. Dead rifle unit. Okay, so we will move on to our armored car. Same thing, armored car 2 hit is a 6. We rolled a 5 and a 9, so 1 hit. So we'll roll 1 die to see if they shrug it off, and they do not. So that was a good turn for these 4 units right here. Now I have a tank over here that I can shoot with. My Panzer 3. It has an HE attack of 7 and an AP attack of 7 as well. So I could go for the tank, which is probably the smart move, so we'll do that. We're going to attack this tank. Range is 2, so that takes a -1 on the roll. So basically we'll have to roll an 8 to hit. And we did roll an 8, so we did get a hit. Now the tank has a defense of 2, and it's in cover. So again, it needs a 4 or less to cause a miss. It did not succeed. It rolled a 7. So the tank is actually destroyed. So that was excellent. And I keep moving my board around and messing up my hexes here. So not bad. We killed a total of 5 units so far. And now we move to turn number 3. And I'm not moving up anybody right now. So again, it's fast first, then enemy, then slow. I'm not going to use any tactics. I still have 1 that I can use with my armored car. I'm going to elect to hold on to that. So we'll let them go. So we'll roll for their tactical movement. Roll the 5 this time. So tanks and armored cars will advance if cannot attack. So the only thing that could have attacked was that tank, which is now dead. So they are going to advance. So we'll move the tank up here. We'll move the armored car. Whoops. And they move towards the enemy. So they're going to move here. Okay. Well, go one at a time. So actually, I should do the tank first. So the tank moved here. Now the problem is we have cover here. So both of these have cover, so they block line of sight to get to my units here. So he can't attack. So now we'll move our armored car. So he's going to go here. He'll attack. So he's got an armored piercing of 8 and an AP of 7. So he's going to look for an armored target. So again, the armored car has a lower defense value than my Panzer III. So he's going to attack the armored car. He rolled a 9 and a 6 and needed a 7 to hit. So that's 1 hit. So now we'll roll for my defense here. And it's only a 1. And it's a 5. So that is a hit. So we have to pull a chit here for my armored car. And we have hull. And hull. There it is. All right. So I'm going to drop that on my armored car. And what hull is you place it on the unit card, and if it's like a wound, if you get a second one, you're destroyed. So that's the 1 armored car. So now we'll move the other one, and it's going to do the same exact thing. It's going to attack that armored car. And it rolled a 3 and a 6, which is not good enough for a hit. So it did not hit him. So now we go to the slow, which is my middle name, apparently. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to move... I'll move my Panzer II here. Let's move these dead units over here. So he's now in cover. Now he gets a -1 attack when moving. So his AP attack is an 8. His HE is 6, but he doesn't have any HE targets. But you know what? We'll take a crack at hitting. So even though we'll need to roll a 9, we're going to shoot at this tank. We need to roll a 10 because the commander of our Panzer II, Weber, is also a -1. So we need to roll 10s, which isn't going to happen, but we're going to take a crack at it anyway. We rolled 2 7s, so that's a miss. So I'll move my Stug rather, up as well, but it's not going to attack because it would take a -2. And so next we will move, I'm going to move my machine gun team up into cover. That way, if I need to, I can still attack with it. So now our armored car will take a crack at their armored car. So our armored car's AP attack is an 8. So we need to roll an 8 because they didn't move. We get a +0, so no benefit from our commander. But we need an 8 to hit, and they don't have any cover, so they'll need a 1 to save if I manage to get a hit. And I do get 1 hit. I got an 8 and a 3. So we'll roll. They rolled a 7 for defense, so one of them is dead. And now my Panzer will attack this other armored car here. And the Panzer III has an AP attack of 7. Didn't move. And we rolled a 4 and a 5, so didn't hit either. And our rifle squads, I'm going to move them up, actually. We'll move this one up here, And we'll move this one here. Neither one of these guys can attack anybody right now. And I guess I'll move my anti-tank unit up 1. Because the anti-tank team can attack, but it would give us 2 stress if we move and attack. So he's going to sit tight as well. And we're going to move to turn 4. And let me count up how many units or points are left here. So they got 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 10. So they're now at half strength. So we do a -2 on their tactical roll when they're at half strength. So we're going to roll now because we're starting a new turn. And their tactical movement is a 3, so that actually becomes a 1. So their tank and armored car are going to hold. And their rifle and machine gun would retreat to cover, but they're already in cover. And their trucks would retreat. So I guess I'll move this truck back 1. Starting with the tank. Now the tank can attack. It'll attack the unit that it can best hit. So it's going to attack. It's going to use its armor piercing. Now my Panzer II has a defense of 1, and my Stug has a defense of 2. So it's going to go after the Panzer I. So it needed a 5, and it got 1 hit because it had an 8 and a 1. So we'll roll our defense here, and we need a 1. Actually, we need a 3 because we're in heavy cover. And we rolled a 6. So we got a hit on our Panzer. And that comes up to be hull. So just like with the armored car, if it gets a second hull hit, it's going to be dead. Now we'll move to our armored car, speaking of armored cars. And it's going to do the same thing, except that it's going to fire its HE at the rifle squad here, I guess. Yeah, they're both 2. They're both 2, so we'll go with the rifle squad. And, well, maybe it should go for the anti-tank. I don't know. I'm going to say rifle squad. It says you get to choose if they're the same, and they are. So it needs a 7 or higher to hit. And we rolled a 1 and a 7, so they did get a hit. And now we'll roll, the defense here is a 2. And we rolled a 6, so we got a hit. And we got casualty, so we know what that means. They get a casualty for the rifle team, and that is 902. So, same thing, another casualty will kill them. Now, those are the only 2 units that can fire. So we're going to move to the slow, which is us. And we are going to, we'll attack the tank with our Stug. So it didn't move. It's got an armor-piercing attack of 8. The Panzer II also does. So I'll probably use both of them if I don't get a hit to kill this tank. And we rolled a 7 and a 2. So no hits for the Panzer II. Now we'll try with the Stug. And it rolled a 9 and a 6. So we got a hit. Its defense is a 2. And it rolled a 4. So the tank is dead. So these 2 are done. Now my machine gun team is not going to move. They're going to sit tight. Or actually, I don't know. Maybe I should move up. The problem is if I move up, it's going to put them in danger, and they get stress if they move and attack. So I don't want to put extra stress on my commander here. And I knocked them down to 7, so I only have to kill 3 more points to actually destroy this battalion. And I have 1 more turn after this one. So we're going to attack the armored car with our armored car. So our armored car has an AP attack of 8, and there's no benefit from our commander. We rolled a 4 and a 1, so that's a miss. We'll use our Panzer III. And we rolled a 6 and a 1. The Panzer III also misses. So 911, our anti-tank team. So we're going to try this. It's got an AP of 6 to hit this armored car. And we got a 5 and a 7, so that's a hit. It needs a 1 defense defensively, and it got a 3, so that's dead as well. So they've got 3, 4, 5 points left. So I'm going to move my rifle 902. I'm going to actually move them up here, which is dangerous, but we're going to do it anyway. And I'm actually going to move my machine gun team up as well. Changed my mind. So now next turn, they'll be able to attack these guys. I have a scheme in mind here. So we're going to turn 5, and I'm going to use my command tactic that goes with my armored car to actually put my machine gun team into the fast phase. So these guys will be able to attack, and they're going to attack this machine gun unit. So let me remove that shit. And we rolled a 2 and a 9. That's 2 hits. They're in heavy cover, so they need a 3 to stop them. And they rolled a 9 and a 7. So the machine gun is dead. And they're now down to 4. So that actually destroys their battalion. If we look here on the card, the second number, the number after the slash, 10 is half, 4 is destroyed. So that actually destroys their force. I suppose in gaming terms, in real world terms, maybe you would say that this causes them to surrender. So basically the battle's over. We destroyed their battalion. So we're going to get 3 victory points for that. We're going to go through our post-combat scenario. So we know that this battalion is destroyed. So this battalion is now destroyed. So I'm going to remove it from the game. Then we do record commander stress and commander XP. Okay, so I finished tallying everything up here. So we can see that everybody's got 4 experience points because they participated in the battle. You get 1 for participation and 1 for destroying the enemy battalion. We've done that twice, so that everybody has 4. Stress levels, you get 2 for the battle. And so the cool factor here, so some of these guys are now at 2, others are at 4. Now, the other thing is here we have our experience points. So you look at what they needed to promote. So we've got a bunch of guys here who are going to get promoted. Eschbach, Glessner, Saltz, Ackerman, Schmidt, Meyer, all going to get promoted. So what I need to do here is erase these and then remove the experience points that they're expending, essentially. So like Eschbach, for example, he's here. So you can see he's green. So I have to go to the deck and pull out his average card, because the reverse of this is recruit. So pull out his average card. He'll keep his 2 stress, but he's going to get promoted. This is green. He's going to become average. So his cool factor actually changes from a -1 to a 0. And you can see here his stress from 0 to 2 to be okay is now 0 to 3. And he gains a +1 modifier on his +1 range attacks. And his +1 goes, basically both +1 ratings improve, and at 0 nothing improved. He's still slow, but this is better than it was before. So that's how the promotions work. So as I mentioned, everybody except Weber and Wagner are getting promoted. And so to see that, you will need to watch part 3, because this is going to end part 2. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. Please consider liking, sharing, and/or subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. That will wrap it up for me. My name's Joe. This has been Hexed Countered. It is Tanktoberfest. This has been Tiger Leader from Dan Verssen Games. And until next time, happy gaming.